Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are about to kick off day one. I should be speaking in a couple hours. I honestly don't know yet, but I have a fire talk prepared. We got a fucking full house here. And so as everything gets kicked off, enjoy some music. Chris, 5 months ago, how much did you make in commission? How much did you make last month?
30K.
Let's give it up for Chris, first of all. Down. Then we're gonna do it again. Then we're gonna do it 10 times fast now. Perfect, everyone sit down. So, what we are gonna talk about is how I got to $30,000 in a month consistently in commissions without battling objections on every single call using dark manipulation tactics. Sounds crazy. Ethically, of course. With what I call ethical gaslighting. Now, where's Chris? Is Chris still here? All good. We'll talk about Chris later. But ultimately, this is something that it wasn't overnight, right? It took me 3 offers. It took close to 2 years, took like a year and a half. So this isn't some gift of the gab story. This isn't some I landed on a unicorn offer story. This right here was my very first time that I tracked commissions. My first 2 months, I made like $800. I didn't even track this shit, it was embarrassing, right? I started tracking month 3, I made $2,000. My rent was like $1,600, so I was like, fuck, I gotta figure something out or I'm gonna have to go back to what I was doing before. Second month, I'm like, okay, we're getting some traction, $3,500. But then we went right back to 2K. I was like, yo, I don't know what's going on. Month 6, $2,800. I was starting to question high ticket sales. Now, a couple things that kept me going is A, my beautiful girlfriend, Lisa. Everyone say hi, Lisa. Lisa definitely pushed me to keep going and also pursuing the skill set. So at this point right here, it was me and one other closer, okay? And collectively, we were collecting like 40 or 50 grand a month. 2 motherfuckers, right? Obviously, like, something's wrong here. So I told myself the story that I'm sure a lot of you tell yourselves of, I just need to get on a better offer. I just need to get somewhere where people are actually making money. So I did that. I got on an offer where there were closers making anywhere from 10 to 15 grand per month. So I was like, this is it. I'm gonna make this high ticket sales shit work. We're gonna get rich, we're gonna retire mom. It's all gonna be great. And on that first offer, I took 60 calls and closed 2. I made $1,100. I actually did worse than the offer that there were people making money. And so I want to talk about this for a second because, again, this is a cope that a lot of closers tell themselves. And there is some truth to it. Like, the opportunity you're on is important. I will say your skill set is even more important, right? And so anyway, I got on another offer. First month, $6,200. Second month, $9,800. 8,900, close to 10K, 15K. You see where we're going here, 19K, 21K, like shit started to click, right? 24, 28, and then 20 to 30K months became the norm, right? 22, 27, you see where we're going here. Now the question is what changed? Similar to a lot of the people in the room right now, I'm sure you guys think that objections and handling objections is the key to being able to get people across the line. But let me ask you guys this. How many times have you been at the end of the call, the person said all the right things in discovery, they hear the price, now they need to think about it. Now they need to talk to their wife. Fuck, your wife is the one who wants you to make the change. What are we talking about? And I thought objections were the key, and so I got dialed with objection handling. And I'm sure some of you guys have seen my videos. I learned all the tactics, the fucking word tracks, the ninja shit, and it worked, kind of. I started closing more deals, right? But then I realized objections weren't the issue. This is me after closing a deal. And this is real footage because I used to have my camera up for every call. Now, I used an Indian joke. Shout out to Satya, right? I used an Indian joke. We know how Indians are. But this was literally after closing a deal. And so the shit didn't make sense to me. How did I just close a deal? I stayed in the ring with this guy, for all this time, but I'm drained. But I'm crashing out, leaving very little for myself, leaving very little for Lisa at the end of the day, right? As sales guys with girlfriends, I'm sure your lady can attest that if you have a bad day, she can feel that shit. Am I right or am I wrong? Right? And so this was my life almost every single day. And this is around the time I was making like 6 to 8K a month. This was me preparing to get into the ring at the end of every single discovery. I knew the objection was coming, and I prepared to fight. And so I had to have a couple conversations with myself of A, realizing objections aren't the issue, but B, looking in the mirror and asking myself, if I'm really him, if I'm really that guy, why do I need to constantly fight these people at the end of calls for them to make a decision? Something is obviously not congruent here. Something is not lining up. There's either something I'm missing early in the call, or there's a part of myself that I'm projecting onto the prospect. Both were right. And so if objections aren't the issue, then what is? It starts internally first. It starts with looking in the mirror. How many guys have heard the saying, sales is a mirror? How many have heard that? Right? We project onto the prospects what we have within. And so constantly think about it, objections starts with you. Constantly getting timing objections starts with you, right? It all starts with the objections that you are giving yourself. So before we keep going, I want to take 30 seconds, a minute. I want everybody to stop, and in the notepad that Chris has been telling you, I want you to write down what is something that you know you need to do and what objection are you giving yourself to doing it. Let's do that. Let's take a minute. So you don't have to share it. Keep it to yourself. But whatever you're looking at on whatever you just wrote is the exact reason you're not closing deals. I'm going to teach you a lot of tactical shit here today. Okay, I'm going to show you a lot of different pattern interrupts and sauce and word tracks, but none of it is going to land if you are not congruent, if this is the story that you're telling yourself. I'll invest into myself when I make X amount. This is something I used to tell myself all the time. I'll wait until I make this amount to then invest into myself. Or for some of the setters, I'll wait until I become a closer and then I'll invest into myself. And I was getting a lot of money objections. No shit. I'm giving myself a fucking money objection, right? I'll take that leap in a few months, right? I was doing high ticket sales and I had another job and I did that for months. And I kept telling myself, I'll take that leap when I make X amount. I'll take that leap in a few months. And guess what? I was getting a lot of timing objections. No shit, I'm giving myself timing objections, right? Do I even really need advanced training, right? This is something I used to always ask myself, do I need coaching? Even in the gym, right? I've been working out for a long time. Do I need a personal trainer? And of course, they kept showing themselves in the mirror every time I'd get on the call, which is why I kept having to wrestle these motherfuckers. This is why I was going to the end of the call with the boxing gloves on, ready to go. And that's how we came to ethical gaslighting. Because first I had to gaslight myself. Luckily, I had good people around me to tell me about myself, but I had to look in the mirror and see where these things were coming within to then help the prospect, right? And so ultimately what it is an internal confrontation model. Being able to help them see how the shit that they're saying, the stories that they're telling themselves as to why they cannot change are not serving them, which is ultimately going to be the fucking objection. So being able to listen for it, knowing what you're listening for, right? Most sales training is what do I say versus what do I confront. So yes, I'm going to give you some word tracks. Yes, I'm going to give you a lot of tactical stuff to take away. But if there's one thing you take away, I want you to take away not what to say, but what to confront. Can everybody just say the word confront, please? Confront. That's what we're going to take away from today. Learning beliefs is what helped me beat everybody I sold with. While they were applying the next sexy word track, while they were doing all these cool things that they saw on the internet that they didn't really understand, I was learning beliefs and I was learning how to listen for them without wearing myself down, right? And so this is kind of like a belief guide right here of where you're ultimately trying to take the person from here to here, from here to here, right? So if someone is dealing with, for example, procrastination, you're gonna take them, and if you want that, you don't need to take a picture. You could just scan that, I'll send it through, right? But if they are struggling with procrastination, you ultimately want to take them from a place of helpless to resourceful. Helpless to resourceful. Say it with me, guys. Helpless to resourceful. That's where we're taking them. So what that looks like is hearing what helpless language sounds like, right? You'll hear the shit in the discovery, and they're gonna tell you their objection. And the beautiful part is money isn't even on the table. So they're telling you I need to think about it before they even know a price. So obviously it's gonna be much easier to handle, right? And if you do have to handle objections at the end, it's gonna be a lot easier, right? So procrastination, someone who's been struggling with procrastination, right? Work with me. If you ask them, what have you done to solving XYZ problem, what does procrastination sound like? What types of answers are you gonna get? Didn't have the time, okay. Anything else? Couldn't find anybody. What was that? I'll do it tomorrow. Didn't know what to do, perfect. I'll start on Monday. I've been doing research. I didn't know where to start. I'll get all my ducks in a row. This is think about it waiting to happen, right? So the shift that we need to take them, the belief shift, is I'm cautious and thorough to I'll figure out by doing. So before they hear a price, this is what they believe, this is what they need to believe. Are you with me? Perfect. Let's look at money, right? This is an easy one. What does a broken belief with money, a helpless belief with money, what does that sound like? I don't have enough money. Anyone else? Too expensive, right? I'll start when I make money. Exact same thing, right? I want to be in a better financial position first. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have the money. And so we need to take this person from I'm being responsible to money is a tool, so I need to find a way, right? Time, this is the last one we'll do. Time, poor relationship with time, easy. Who's got one? Yes. Too busy. Kids, right? I fucking hate that one, right? I'll do it when I can do it, when I could give 100%, which makes no sense. Right? Huh?
Oh, you have kids, like they tell me that all the time.
Oh yeah.
You have kids, buddy? I'm like, no.
Yeah. Right, it's a defense mechanism, right? It's a way to cope. Do you have kids? You don't get it. And what they're doing is they're protecting themselves and they're protecting their mediocrity. So by the time you leave here today, by the time you listen to me yapping for 30 minutes, you are going to know how to take them from I'm just busy to I have full control over my time and I decide what to prioritize. That's the goal, right? So I'm gonna show one example, but this shit really works with any objection that they give you. And so how do we do that? Now you understand beliefs. How do you shift those fuckers, right? 3 steps. We identify the belief, pattern interrupt, and plant the idea of self-sabotage, and then we overcome it. If you do these effectively and you're congruent, so the words have weight and you're not just saying shit and they're not just agreeing, if you do this effectively, you're going to get less objections or no objections at all, right? So step 1 is identify. So after building a big problem, which obviously isn't enough time to talk about problem, but Evan talked about that earlier and he crushed it, so make sure you're paying attention there. After building a massive problem, you're gonna ask them, what have you done to try to solve this? That's going to expose the limiting belief, the shit that we talked about earlier. I haven't had the time, I haven't had the money, I've been watching YouTube videos, right? After we identify it, step 2 is we're gonna pattern interrupt and plant the idea of self-sabotage, right? You're gonna pattern interrupt by asking if you could share a perspective. You're gonna plant the idea that it is not serving them, and then have them explain to you why the idea applies to their life. So you're not telling them the shit. You're planting it, and then they are telling you. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Good. And then step 3 is overcome it. What has this way of thinking costed you? Are you willing to overcome it? And why now? You see, the problem with the why now question is a lot of you fuckers ask why now to join the program. Fuck the program, right? Why now to overcome the belief, the story you've been telling yourself? That is what we're asking why now to. Not why now to start with you, not why now to invest, why now to overcome this thing that has been holding you back. And then, can I keep you accountable? If that way of thinking were to show itself, do I have your permission to keeping you accountable? Which ultimately means objection handling. Do I have your permission to objection handle you? And so now at the end of the call, if that way of thinking were to show itself, the shit's easy. Because they've already given you the permission to handle their objection. Guys, people want to be led. They're on your call because they want to be led, because they are not good at making decisions in the area that you sell. If you sell lead gen, they're there because they fundamentally have a flawed decision-making process around getting leads for their business. Weight loss, they have a fundamentally flawed decision-making process about losing weight. Budget dog, right? They have a flawed belief system around managing their finances. So someone who's coming to Satya's call to learn about how to manage their finances and then tells them at the end, oh, I need to check my finances, does that make any fucking sense? It's the whole reason they're there, right? So that's something that you really have to believe for any of this to work, is the person on the call either hasn't done anything or hasn't done enough, right? Now, we're gonna get into an example here, but before we do, I want y'all to know I'm not just a nigga up here talking about things that have worked for me, right? Chris, you gave me a very warm welcome and I appreciate that. Please stand up. Chris, 5 months ago, how much did you make in commission?
3K.
How much did you make last month?
30K.
Let's give it up for Chris, first of all. Chris, what would you attribute, at least on the calls themselves, what would you attribute the biggest impact or difference was when you were on calls to get to that 30K from 3?
Believing that everything was their fault and that I'm trying to help them get out of the way by challenging them to overcome the beliefs that they've been living by.
Yes. So now I'm gonna show you guys how to do the same. Thank you, Chris. So we're gonna have an example here, right? So we're gonna ask, what steps would you say you've taken towards solving XYZ problem so that you can get XYZ outcome? The prospect is gonna say, I've been watching YouTube, reading, I've been figuring that out alone. We're gonna ask, what's prevented you? This is how we gain context. You see, another problem is you hear something like this, and then you instantly wanna just throw an analogy at them. You wanna just throw all this fucking mental jujitsu at them, and you don't fully understand, right? So we need context before we do the mental jujitsu. And so when we asked them that, I didn't have the money. So very obviously, what is the flawed belief that we are going to overcome here? Exactly, money, right? So now we know we're shifting a belief around money. So we're gonna pattern interrupt. Can I offer a perspective? Yes. They're not gonna say no. It's gonna be pretty fucking weird if they say no, the call is cooked a long time ago, right? They're gonna say yes. So money is an interesting topic because money is ultimately the reason you need to do something, so that you have more money for X. You have more money for Y, for Z. It can't be the reason that you don't. Reason you need to do something cannot be the reason that you don't. It's kind of like an overweight person saying, I'll start going to the gym when I lose weight. Now, when you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I literally had an aunt who was overweight and said that she's going to lose weight before she starts going to the gym. It's like, this makes no sense, right? But this is the same exact way of thinking when someone says, I haven't had the money and that's why I haven't taken action. So then we're gonna ask, do you see how this reason that you've needed to invest has been the same reason that you haven't? Yes. Okay, how so? What are we doing now? We're pattern interrupting, now we're planting the idea. Because by asking how so, they are going to give it back to you. It's not you giving them a Tony Robbins speech. Shout out to Tony Robbins. It's them telling you in their words, the way they interpret it, how this way of thinking has kept them where they are. So now they're going to justify the idea you just planted. So you're going to overcome that shit. Okay, and what has this way of thinking costed you so far? Same thing. They're going to start to explain what it's costed them, the outcomes that they could have gotten if they did not think that way, if they did not have that belief. Now, this is also really important that you have a problem, because if you don't have a problem and you don't have context, again, it's not going to land. And if you aren't congruent, if you are giving yourself a money objection and you're trying to say this, the words are going to be shaky. They're going to feel that. That's why I started with that. Now they've owned that this perspective is keeping them stuck, without you having to give a Tony Robbins speech about why it's kept them stuck. You say little, they say the most, but they believe what they say. Because to them, you're just a sleazy fucking sales guy. So it doesn't matter what you say. It matters what they say. It matters how it's interpreted in their brain. So then we're going to ask, are you ready to overcome that way of thinking? They're going to say yes. Can I keep you accountable to that? Now we have permission to objection handle them. And effectively what we've done is we have stripped away this way of thinking from them. We've taken it off the table, so they can't give you that anymore. Can't say this is too much money. They can't say I need to check my finances. And if they do, you have all the authority to hold them to a standard that they asked to be held to. Now, a lot of times when they say yes to this, they're like, are you sure? I'm not always this nice, right? I could be a dick sometimes. And then when we're at the end of the call and they give the objection, remember that layer of accountability you asked for? Is it okay if I offer some of that? Now it's you and them versus this way of thinking. It's not just you and them, and then you're not gonna look like me at the end of the call, the picture I showed you earlier. You're not going into the boxing ring anymore, right? Why this is so powerful? Your confidence goes up by the end of the call because you have influence. You have influence over their way of making decisions. And so at the end of the call, obviously a decision is what we're looking for. And if you have influence over it, you're in a much better place to handle the limiting belief that still might show itself. Or you're going to get less objections. Chris, how much objection, if you could put a percentage to it, how much objection handling have we trained on? 3% for Chris to get to 30 grand a month. 97% of it was this shit. So it's powerful and it works, okay? You're not so fucking drained by the end of the day, right? Your girl's not telling you you're here, but you're not here, right? You actually have time to do the things that you want to do, the energy to do the things that you want to do. And you feel better about yourself because you've actually helped someone make an uncomfortable decision. And of course, you collect more cash, right? You make more cash. That's the whole fucking reason we're here. And this isn't just theory, right? We talked about Chris, but Alex was making 2 grand a month in Romania as an IT specialist to 10 grand a month as a setter. Or we have Colton stuck at 4 grand a month for 2 years to his first month making 9 grand. His first month, 2 years, he couldn't break past 4. Or Knight stuck at 3 grand a month to 15. Again, we talked very little about objection handling. It was how to listen for beliefs. So, if you could take anything away from this, you must be internally aligned and congruent. Objections are not the problem, beliefs are. And the goal is to move them from a helpful state to a resourceful state. I think if you just take that away, you're gonna get more deals over the line. From a helpful state to a, yes. That is all I got for you guys. If you want to see live examples of this on a call, scan that. I'm probably gonna try to sell you too, but scan that. Get on the free course, and thank you for your time. Appreciate you guys.